Hey, what's going on, Los Angeles? Welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB network. We are Los Angeles Sports. This is your daily dose of Los Angeles Rams news. Stafford's back. We talked about it last episode with our good friend First and Tuna, so we don't need to get too much into that. We'll just say from the top, he's been a full participant since coming back. He actually spoke to the media today, Skinny. Member, I was like, when are we going to see Stafford actually talk to the media? He spoke, said he wouldn't get into exactly what he's dealing with, but it's been a process. He feels good right now. It's always going to be day to day. So this is a storyline that's really never going to go away. But hey, as of now, things are good. He's practicing. And everyone's saying he looks like himself, blah, blah, blah. So that's great. I don't even want to talk about Stafford unless you do. But first and foremost, Skinny T, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I wanted to take a second to shout out a movie that my buddy Charlie Houston wrote, Caught Stealing. It's going to be in theaters here shortly. So if you guys are want to check out a movie, it's got Austin Butler, who's fantastic, obviously, Regina Hill. I'm forgetting somebody else's name and two other people's names that are really great. But it's a great cast. Looks like a lot of fun movie, and Charlie's a great person. So go support Charlie. And Caught Stealing, directed by Darren Aronofsky. Hard to beat that. So
wow,
pretty awesome. I stayed with Charlie and their family when first moved to Los Angeles. Stayed with them. So they were a huge part of us landing here in LA.
Wow, that's great. He wrote it. And you're thinking of Regina King is the actress.
Regina King, yeah.
Zoe Kravitz, I just saw in it. Yeah, great little cast there. Bad Bunny with an appearance.
Yes.
All of a sudden, Bad Bunny is like, after his Happy Gilmore debut, I mean, is he like an Oscar-worthy actor now?
It could be. But this just goes to show you, I don't just forget Ram stuff. I forget all sorts of people's names.
Yeah, a lot of names in the world we have to remember in this business. So speaking of names, we're going to do a 53-man roster projection today. 53 names we're going to throw at you all. Cut down day is Tuesday, August 26th, I believe that date is. Skinny informed me it's like 9 a.m. Pacific, so a lot of these will probably happen Monday, or even pretty quickly after the Rams preseason game. So, yeah, I figured now is a good time as ever. The game this weekend, obviously, we won't see any starters. Dresser Wynn will be playing the entire game, which great, good for him. Hopefully, he can get some tape out there. Or at least be a P squad guy afterwards. But Terrence Ferguson, we'll see his first action as the Rams top rookie draft pick. So still plenty of stuff to watch, but figured we don't really need to preview a ton of this because everyone kind of knows what's going into it. We'll just see a lot of younger guys and as they battle to make this roster, which is why we'll do this 53-man projection. Anything you want to say quickly, Skinny, about the game coming up? We're on what you're looking for at all?
One thing interesting I kind of learned is they were shooting for another joint practice. They were looking into Minnesota. They were looking into Cleveland because obviously they're headed out to Cleveland, but did not get that third joint practice, which, as we've mentioned before, super important to McVay. But they have picked up what they're calling their Mamba periods, which is where they take on the firsts versus the firsts, which they've really increase the amount of those periods in practice. So just kind of an interesting wrinkle. Also, McVay won't be, or Stafford won't be traveling with the team. He'll be at the friendly confines of Los Angeles for that game.
Yeah, didn't want to get out there to lovely Cleveland, I guess. Cleveland, all the jokes aside, I think Cleveland's an underrated American city. It's got a lot better, obviously. Stuff has to improve to say that. Detroit's another one. Like, I think it's one of those, like, everyone's like, oh, I'm not going to Cleveland. But you go and you're like, it's a pretty badass little town. It's a pretty cool city.
There's all sorts of Hall of Fames I want to check out. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is another one of them. So I'm going to end up in Cleveland at some point. Yeah,
my cousin was in the Coast Guard, and he was stationed in Cleveland for a little bit, and he came to love it. So talked very highly. But Stafford will not be there. Hanging out here in LA, maybe in the Airstream, who knows? But we'll see. But yeah, final preseason game against the Browns this weekend. I don't even know why I didn't realize this, but when you play, this obviously doesn't pertain to the Rams, 3 preseason games, but when you play the Hall of Fame game like the Chargers do, that's not like you just play the earlier preseason and then your schedule's kind of moved up. That it's a fourth additional game. So
yeah,
the Lions and the Chargers get 4 preseason games, where everyone else gets 3.
Yeah,
didn't really realize that. So all right. Well, shall we, Skinny? So we're going to kind of go position by position, guys. drop your comments in here, what you think this roster is going to look like. Because I think there's a lot of positions that are pretty set. I don't think we're going to be, it's not rocket science what we're talking about here. On some of them, we'll go through quickly. But there are some that are definitely up for debate in terms of the number of players they'll keep, kind of how they view these guys as special teamers and whatnot. So that's where maybe some of the debate could come when you look at receiver, when you look at running back, when you look at tight end, when you look at linebacker. Like, I think there's differing numbers of how many guys they will keep there. So, and we'll try to be clear if we think a guy maybe will start on IL, or excuse me, injured reserve. IL is more a baseball term, which would free up a roster spot to start the season, obviously, but would force that player to miss 4 games. So start with quarterback. Really the only question here is, are they keeping 3 quarterbacks or 2, Skinny?
I think they'll keep 3. I think they'll keep Stetson Bennett around with Stafford up in the air. Garoppolo's no Iron Man when it comes to staying on the field. Stetson's shown some nice things in the preseason. Let's do it. 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think so as well, especially just with Stafford's health in question. Obviously, he's doing much better, as we said, and has participated fully this week. But that can flare up whenever. And if he misses time, then you want to have 2 quarterbacks you feel good about to go into game days. So, and I think Bennett's done enough that he wouldn't clear waivers, wouldn't be able to bring him back on the P squad. So I think he'd probably get snatched up if they did release him. So I agree. I think you're looking at 3 quarterbacks for the Rams. I'm just going to, for myself, put this in I'll put this in the private chat, Skinny, just so we're not all of a sudden having a 56-man roster by doing this wrong. So if we agree, it'll all just be the same.
We're doing this on the fly, so if our number doesn't end up right, we'll go back and correct it.
Yeah. Don't burn us at the stake here. So, all right, let's go running backs. I think this is really interesting. I think it's very clear. Obviously, Kyren Williams, and then Blake Corum and Jarquez Hunter, I think, are locks. 3 locks there, even though Jarquez has played a lot. He's a rookie, 4th rounder. They're super excited about him. Do they keep more than 3 is the big question, Skinny. What do you think?
I don't think so, because I think they're going to have to keep enough room for a couple extra offensive linemen, given their situation there. That's maybe a little interesting. And then also tight ends. I think they're going to keep an extra tight end.
Yep. We'll get to those positions, but I agree. I think this is going to be the first really tough decision. Obviously, Ronnie Rivers has been a guy that's been on the team for quite some time. They love him, but he's been banged up through camps, hasn't been able to really be out there. And Cody Schrader, I think, has shined a lot. I think he's a guy that can, if he ends up being the 4th running back, obviously he adds depth to that room, but I think it's a special teams play that they think he is more valuable on special teams than maybe that 4th tight end, or maybe that 6th or 7th receiver or whatever, which we'll get to. But I just don't know if that's enough to keep him. And I think while he has shown a lot of promise, the running back position, just the way it is, he'll be a much easier play to waive and bring back on the practice squad. I don't see, like, with how running backs are viewed in this league, like, I don't think any teams are going to snatch up an RB4 and RB5 on waivers. I think everyone's kind of like in agreement, like, our guys we cut, we're bringing back on the P squad, and let it be. Versus
keep an eye out for the 49ers once the waivers hit. It seems like everybody behind Christian McCaffrey is injured, so they might be snatching up everybody.
That is true, and that's the last thing you want to see is a Rams hopeful player end up going to the division-hated Niners. So, but for now, I think we're in agreement. 3 running backs, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Receiver. So, typically the Rams have always kept around 6 receivers. I've seen some out there putting it that the Rams keeping 5. That just seems I just don't see them doing that. That seems low for me. But what do you think? 6, 7, 5, where are you putting this at? And which players, obviously?
I can't see them with fewer than 6, with what they have with Jordan Whittington, Kanata Munfield, and Xavier Smith.
Yeah.
Especially with Xavier Smith kind of, being able to, work in kind of the short areas, maybe in the running game and in special teams. I think he's got to be a lock. So I'm going Davante, Puka, Tutu, Jordan Whittington, Kanata, Xavier Smith. My guy, Xavier Smith. Got to throw that out there.
Your guy is fantastic. He's had a fantastic camp in preseason. So yeah. I think he's locked in there. Britton Covey was signed as a free agent, seen as kind of like the return guy. So many will probably think that he might be that 7th. I agree with the 6 you said. I feel like those 6 are all locks. Luckily, Xavier Smith, I think, has some returnability. So, and has done that obviously in the past for this team. Jordan Whittington has some returnability. So I agree with you. I don't think they keep 7 just because of obviously some injury concerns at other positions, plus some depth at other positions. I think those are the 6 guys. You said it. I wouldn't change anything there. The big one, and this is throwing out a hot take here, is some of these other receiver needy teams, which we've seen some trades happen just yesterday. I mean, the Broncos trade Devon Vile to the Saints. Sky Moore traded from the Chiefs to the Niners. So will there be a receiver needy team that maybe the Rams are like, hey, we keep trying this with Tutu Atwell, but hey, if we can get something back in return, we like some of these young guys. Maybe we see Tutu on the move. I can't see them trading like a Whittington or even a Xavier Smith, and I don't know what the value is. Obviously, they love Kanata. Mumfield is just a rookie, but a guy like Tutu's on a 1-year deal. Someone like the Raiders has extreme youth at receiver. That would be the only move I would see. Otherwise, I see those 6 as locked that you mentioned.
I do love that trade idea, and I don't remember what kicked it off, but I started thinking this morning: does Sean McVay actually know what to do with that kind of speed? As a former tight ends coach, has he ever had a guy that fast? Does he know what to do? Anyway,
yeah, I know.
Conversation for a different day.
Yeah. So
evidence says no, he doesn't.
it does. Yeah, evidence proves that. And you look at the Raiders; they got Jacoby Myers, who's great, underrated. After that, they got 2 rookies and a year 3 guy who had 500 yards last year. So there's a lot of. Obviously, Brock Bowers is their leading receiver, but he's a tight end. So I mean, who knows if the Rams and Raiders pick up the phone. But as of now, those are our 6 as locks: Adams, Nacua, Atwell, Whittington, Mumfield, and Smith. Tight ends. This will be our first real kind of, well, I guess running backs was too, but tight ends will be first real interesting one because there's definitely the argument to need to keep 4. There's definitely the argument that 4 tight ends is a lot of tight ends on a team that typically doesn't use many tight ends. Now we know they're going to use a lot more 12 personnel this year. So the argument is 4 would make a lot of sense. Where do you have them going?
I'm sticking with 4 as well. I think, Higbee and Colby Parkinson are complete locks.
Yeah.
They were working with the first team the entire way through training camp. No doubt about those guys. Davis Allen's still on a rookie contract. And, the argument could be made that he outcompeted Terrence Ferguson, who's been injured for much of the last several weeks, getting back into action, as you mentioned earlier. So, Mike LaFleur talked about, how unfortunate it is that he's missed that amount of time. But I think he's obviously the future of the position. He's going to be, a big offensive threat once they get him settled into the position. So they got to keep him around as well. Obviously, he's not clearing waivers if they don't go with him. So I'm thinking 4 here.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Ferguson injury actually has forced them to keep 4. I think and this is nothing against Davis Allen, but I think the hope was if Ferguson hit the ground running, like really seized that role and pushed Ferguson or pushed Colby Parkinson, and Tyler Higbee, they could feel like Davis Allen was a little more expendable. Allen hasn't done a ton that he would maybe clear waivers to, and they would be able to bring him back, being a former, 5th round pick, still on a rookie contract, like you mentioned, out of Clemson. So I think that was probably the hope. And him just being injured on the field, I think they've been forced to keep 4 because we don't even know what his real status is at. Like we said, we'll see his first game action this weekend against Cleveland. So I just think, they're forced to keep 4 at this point, just out of necessity. And I've seen others out there kind of putting Parkinson on the cut block. I would be shocked if I think he's an absolute lock. He is so important in the running game. As you mentioned, ran with the ones the entire training camp, with Tyler Higbee. So to me, when you see 12 personnel weeks 1 through 8, it's Higbee and Parkinson, and then see if Allen or Ferguson can catch up to those guys to get on the field, but neither of them are on the same stratosphere, right? Well, that sounds a little disrespectful, but neither of them are close to challenging those 2 guys for starting reps. So I agree. I think it's going to be 4.
There we go.
Tight ends. Our guy, we don't change anyone's content here at LFB. Our guy Nico dropped his 53 roster prediction. He has them cutting Parkinson. I don't agree. I'll just say that.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No. All right. Offensive line. We've seen the Rams typically keep quite a few just because of the injury history they've had. You've got to figure the minimum a team keeps usually is 8. The max is usually 10. Where are you feeling on this?
Yeah, I'm leaning much more towards 10. They've made a couple of additions. They brought in David Quessenberry, DJ Humphrey. The big question is, does Alaric Jackson start on IR? Does he miss the first 4 games plus whatever? And I think that's a distinct possibility. So I'm just going to go out. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he starts the season on the IR. And that brings my total down to 9. So obviously your starters, Rob Havenstein, Kevin Dotson, Coleman Shelton, Steve Avila, and then dropping Humphreys in there. So that's your starting 5. I think Willie Lampkin also starts on the IR as well, which I think is beneficial for them actually in a strange way. He wasn't going to start anyway, but he's got a knee and ankle injury. And McVay said he's going to miss some weeks. So, I mean, that kind of tells a story there. So then your Bo Limmer lock, Justin Diedich. Some people have him on the chopping block. I'm saying he's a lock because he's versatile in the interior there. Kevin Dotson with a chest contusion, Steve Avila last year with his injuries. He can be dropped into those situations. And then Warren McClendon, I think, is taking a huge step forward, and he kind of operates in that swing tackle. So what am I at there? 5, 6, 7, 8. And then, Quessenberry, again, kind of a swing tackle kind of guy. So I like that there. So that puts me at 9. They added Mike McAllister. I'm going to say John LeGlue is his name. That's how it's spelled anyway. They just added him yesterday. So I'm sitting there at 9. So, I mean, I like AJ Arcuri. He's taking a big step forward. Dylan McMahon, I like what he's shown. So, I mean, I don't know who to put in there. And KT Levinson as well. I mean, is a guy that's showing some good stuff. So I'm gonna drop in Arcuri as my 10th.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna count that up while you talk.
Yeah. I'll throw one different player up, but I agree with everything. I think 10 is the number. I do believe Jackson starts on the IR. I think McVay has said they're hopeful for him to be ready week 1, but he has yet to play a physical snap yet. Your first physical snap cannot be week 1 action against the Texans. It just can't. You got to have some practice reps in there, I think, in my opinion. So I believe he'll start on the IR, missing the first 4 weeks. I also think Willie Lampkin will start on the IR, missing the first 4 weeks. So that frees up 2 spots for that 10. So, as you mentioned, I'll try to just repeat these really fast. Steve Avila, Coleman Shelton, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein are your starters there. DJ Humphreys then is your starting left tackle. So that's 5. I think Quessenberry, the versatility, the experience, they keep him. So that's 6. Justin Diedich to me is a lock. I know a lot of people have him on the fringe, but as you mentioned, the versatility, he's played guard and center just in the preseason. So we've seen that. At 7, Bo Limmer, lock. 8, I like Warren McClendon to give you some more tackle depth. And then I'll go with Dylan McMahon as their final 10th guy, and hopefully they can get Arcuri and Leviston back on the P squad. But those are my 10.
Yeah, I mean, I could be talked into anybody really for that 10th spot. Arcuri, Levinston, but they've got good depth at tackle now. So I think probably that's the way to go. But 10 either way.
10. So we are at 26 for the offense. 26 for the offense. So that gives us, what's the addition to get to 53 for defense? And we'll just put 3 special teams. So that puts us at 29.
29. Yeah.
So we've got about
24
spots on defense. All right, here we go. Defensive line, which this is more so for the interior. Edge we'll do separate. How do you see the defensive line shaping out?
Oh man, so Kobe Turner, Puna Ford, Braden Fiskes obviously are locks. Tyler Davis, the way they've talked about him,
Yep.
he's integral part. DeJuan Johnson, I think he played himself into a roster spot over the past few weeks, so I'm going there. And I think it's a toss up between Laurel Murchison and Ty Hamilton. Ty Hamilton has been essentially quiet as a fifth round rookie. And I'm leaning towards Ty Hamilton just because he's on that rookie deal. There really is no tie to Laurel Murchison. He's played a few snaps, filled in when injury struck. But I think Ty Hamilton probably gets the edge there. So that's six for me.
Yep. I'm just gonna move on quickly. I agree with you that the 6, and I agree with the 6 you got. Fisk, Ford, Turner, obvious. Hamilton, Davis, DeJuan Johnson. So I'll just stick with you there. And so 6DL. Edge. You got to think here, Skinny, that you got to keep 4 edge, I think. I'll just kick it off. I think you go Byron Young, Jared Verse, obviously. And then I think you got Josiah Stewart, the young rookie out of Michigan, that we've seen some good stuff in camp. Obviously seen a sack or so in the preseason. So I think there's good excitement there. And then after that, you're looking at, Brennan Jackson, Nick Hampton, Kair Thomas. It's obviously you like, I think I like all 3 of those guys. But I would lean probably Brennan Jackson to be that 4th. I can't see them keeping more than 4 at this position, just based on how many they need to keep in the secondary. And obviously the interior linebacker we'll get to here in a minute. So I think 4, and I think those are my 4.
Yeah, I mean, the only argument I would try to make would be to keep 5, Brennan Jackson and Nick Hampton being the 5th.
Yeah.
Josiah Stewart, I think, got one sack in the preseason. Nothing really coming out of training camp about him. Didn't hear his name much. Didn't flash much in my opinion. So it's not the perfect answer, but I'm leaning 5 here. Just because I don't think, edge is such a highly sought after position. So I'm leaning 5.
The question is, do you see special teams value from a guy like Nick Hampton or Brennan Jackson or Josiah Stewart? Well, they're not cutting Josiah Stewart. He's a 3rd-round rookie this year. So
yeah, I think both of those. Nick Hampton has more. Nick Hamilton, Nick Hampton has probably, I think, a bit more upside in terms of the special teams. Maybe Brennan Jackson's a bit bigger body, which they don't have, so you kind of think that fits the puzzle piece a little better. So I'm really on the fence. So maybe I'll talk myself in or out of it as this breaks down more.
Let's go with 5 for now. We'll go with you.
Okay.
5 edge. Because I agree, and as great as obviously Verse and Young are, you got to have some rotational pieces there that can flip in and out. So
yeah.
All right, so that puts us at, we only have room for what, 18 more? Does that sound right?
Yep.
Wait, no, that's not right.
24 minus 11 is 13.
29
more.
plus 11 is 40. So yeah, 13. 13 between inside linebacker and the secondary. So this, let's go to linebacker. Based on history and based on how much the Rams value the position, this seems like 3 linebackers, right? However, based on who's kind of there and the separation between starter to backup, it definitely feels like 4. 5 would be a little wild, and you definitely can't keep 5 edge if you do 5 inside linebackers. But where do you see them going here? Obviously, I think we can both agree that Omar Spates and Nate Landman are locks. But then when you look at Chris Paul Jr., Sean Dolak, and Troy Reeder, those are 3 guys that I think any given year could make this roster. But what's it going to be this year?
So when Landman was out with injury, Troy Reeder filled in at the green dot. He is the most experienced out of all of these guys. Yeah, I feel like you have to keep him around. Chris Paul Jr., fifth rounder, they don't typically cut. Typically don't cut their draft picks. So it's like 4 is kind of where I'm leaning, which already is putting stress on my kind of what I want to see in the defensive backfield.
So yeah, this will be the debate, right? If you keep 4, are you only going 9 DBs, or do you cut one of those edge guys?
I could see him going 9 DBs.
So keeping 4 inside LBs, and you think they keep Reader over Dolak?
I do.
Or Chris Paul, both over Dolak?
Yeah, I think so.
I think as great as Dolak has looked and how much the fans love him, I think they'll be able to get him through to practice squad. I think he hasn't done enough where someone's going to be like, oh, we're snatching this guy up. I think he'll be a P squad guy, which lets him develop more and potentially be. I mean, he could be on the roster at mid-season if injuries happen. But so yeah, I think Dolak's P squad. So then it's, if you're looking at 4, it's obviously Landman Spates, Chris Paul, and Troy Reader. If they had to go 3, I think Reader's the odd man out, even though he has the experience. The team seems to love him, but I just think there's too much upside on the rookie contract of Paul. But I mean, all right, should we do it? 4 ILBs.
That's where I'm leaning.
Okay, 4 inside linebackers. So we got 9 spots for the DB room.
All right,
corners, or where do you want? Wherever you want to start, go.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say Darius Williams, Kella Witherspoon, starting outside corners. Quentin Lake, nickel linebacker / free safety / strong safety.
Yeah.
So he does a lot there. Cam Curl and Cam Kinchins, I believe, are your starters at safety. So we're sitting at 5 already there with 4 backups remaining. Yep. Barring cutting either Nick Hampton or Brennan Jackson. So
yeah, I think we'll just go back and forth. I think Jalen McCullough makes the cut here.
I think they have a lot of belief in Emmanuel Forbes.
Yeah, so that Jalen McCullough, Emmanuel Forbes, that brings you to 7. In my opinion, I know they brought him back after waiving him. I think Darian Kendrick's kind of the odd man out here.
Yeah, it's starting to look that way. I mean, Kobe Turner's played a lot of good football. And he moved when Witherspoon missed time at training camp. He moved into that kind of starting role with first team defense. So I think he's a lock. So now we're really down to one available roster spot. And we've got, AJ Green, I think Cam Lampkin, Darren Kendrick, Josh Wallace, Tanner Ingle, all kind of Charles Woods. Yeah, I think to a lesser degree Charles Woods, but based on last year, really.
Yeah. If we're going positional value to make it easier, I think safety wise, it's Curl, Kinchins, obviously, and McCullough. I think you got your 3 safeties there. I mean, Lake, I put in his own I put Lake in his own category, kind of. Yeah. So those are my 3 safeties. Quentin Lake, if you want to say safety, so there's your 4. And then I think the other guys, if they can get back, are P Scott guys from the safety room. And then you look at corner, so you got 5 spots. And, obviously, as you mentioned, you go Williams, Witherspoon, Durant, Forbes, and then it's between Lampkin or AJ Green, really, for me. And I would think I'd lean Lampkin
as an extra corner over Darren Kendrick.
Over Darren Kendrick.
Wow. You lean Lampkin over Wallace? Is that what you're saying?
Wallace is, that's the toss-up. Wallace and Lampkin, I think, are the 2 toss-ups. I think Kendrick, I think we've kind of seen what we've seen with him, just the up and down nature. And why not?
He's hurt. He was hurt all last year.
Yes.
And they released him already and re-signed him in the weird contract. He is more expensive, likely, than the rest of these guys. So, oh man, that kind of hurts me a little bit, just because he was such a vocal leader for that defense when he was a starter. Come on, yeah. I'm, as much as I love Lampkin, I think I'm going to lean Josh Wallace just because he's got a bit more pedigree, a bit more playing time. from last year. So that's my 53rd. Or should I talk myself out of an extra edge rusher? I'm not talking myself out of an extra edge rusher. Period.
Okay, done. So there we go. 9 DBs. Well, there you have it. That is going to be the roster. That's the 53-man roster for your Los Angeles Rams starting the 2025 season against the Houston Texans. You heard it here first on the Rams. Skinny on the LAFB Network. Anything else to add, Skinny T?
No, let's go. How far away is September 7th? How many days is that?
We're getting there.
We're about 17 days out. Almost
I've done enough math today. I've done enough math. I can't add more math to my plate. But yeah, so we are finally almost there. Browns game this weekend, final preseason game, and then kind of the last week of preparation before the season officially kicks off. We've got a great schedule, a great slate of video coming your way. We're going to be doing more live. So Thursdays, we're going to be going live in kind of the late afternoon. We're still kind of looking at 3 or 4. If you guys have any feedback, let us know, but we're going to try this late afternoon. We're going to be going live with rotating guests every game day, post-game recaps, live here on the Rams LAFB YouTube channel. And then we'll have 2 other videos throughout the week, probably on Tuesday and Wednesday. So plenty of Rams content. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you're notified of all of it. And as always, all of our Rams content is found over at LAFBnetwork.com. Thank you all for riding with us. Let's keep this thing growing, keep it going, and hopefully this Rams have a fantastic season, and we can't wait that it's finally here. So for Skinny T, I'm Ryan Dowd. Everyone be well, be safe. Thank you as always for tuning in. Plenty more Rams talk coming soon.